Imagine walking into a room and meeting a stranger who possesses your face but carries a psychological weight that makes your knees buckle. This version of you does not smile. He calculates. He does not seek your approval. He commands your space through sheer presence. You would not recognize him. You would fear him. This is because most of what you call discipline is a sentimental lie. It isn't about the sunrise, the clean plate, or the sweat of the gym. Those are merely symptoms. Real discipline is a calculated act of violence committed against your own inherent weakness. It is the surgical ability to stare at your fatigue, your trivial emotions, and your mounting excuses, and bury them in an unmarked grave while they are still screaming. Machiavelli understood this fundamental truth. He did not write for the virtuous. He wrote for the strategist. He knew that in a world governed by chaos, softness is a death sentence and predictability is a leash. To hold dominion, you must cease being a person and become a force of nature. When you achieve this state of sovereign discipline, the world's reaction shifts. Respect is too shallow. Of word, people become unsettled in your presence. They sense a shift in social gravity. They see a man who has ceased the pathetic internal negotiations that define the common existence and that terrifies them. Because a man who cannot be broken by his own mind has no external master. You are here because of a specific type of exhaustion. You are not physically spent. You are soul-tired. You are sickened by the repetitive cycle of making promises to yourself that expire by noon. You watch others ascend while you remain anchored to the same loop of temporary motivation and inevitable collapse. You are seeking a bulletproof mind, but be warned, this is not an invitation to self-improvement. It is a blueprint for self-destruction. We are here to execute the weak, dependent, emotional ghost inhabiting your skin so that the ruler may finally emerge. We will apply the cold logic of the prince to your daily pulse. By the end, you will realize that being liked is a peasant's comfort, while being feared for your unyielding restraint is the only true sovereignty. The secret is not in what you cultivate, but in what you have the courage to kill. Most men are slaves to their impulses and the digital static of a world they don't even respect. The moment you enter this path, the slavery ends. You become a sovereign, but sovereignty is paid for in silence. Are you prepared to settle the debt? Silence is not a lack of sound. It is the strategic hoarding of the only currency that matters, information. While you believe you are connecting by speaking, you are actually hemorrhaging power. Machiavelli famously noted that the world sees what you appear to be, but almost no one experiences who you really are. The average man is a sieve. He broadcasts his plans, posts his mediocre workouts, and announces a new era on social media before he has completed a single hour of labor. He is addicted to the cheap dopamine of unearned validation, releasing the internal pressure valve before the engine has even turned over. This is why he fails. He has already spent his victory in his imagination. You will adopt the discipline of the ghost. True strength requires the dark, a space where your intentions are protected by the Roman elite's principle of silentium. When you constantly articulate your goals, you are effectively begging for a consensus. You are asking the world if your ambition is permissible. Stop asking. The most dangerous entity in any hierarchy is the one who watches, listens, and remains an enigma. By retreating into silence, you create a psychological vacuum. Humans abhor a void. They will fill it with their own insecurities and project their deepest fears onto you. They wonder why you no longer crave their attention, and in that wondering they grant you authority. This silence is your fortress. It allows you to make mistakes in private, correcting them without the interference of public judgment. Imagine the power of a 6-month disappearance. No explanations, no status updates, just the cold mechanics of work, physique, and mind. You sever the ties to toxic dopamine and the friends who only value your presence when it's diluted by alcohol. When you re-emerge, you don't need to announce a change. They will feel the shift in your posture and the weight of your words or lack thereof. This is the weaponization of the unknown. Explanation is the dialect of the victim. The sovereign simply executes. If you are winning, remain silent. Your results will eventually speak with a roar that makes your previous voice sound like a whisper. The myth of the disciplined man as a hollow robot is a comfort for the weak. In reality, the sovereign feels the full spectrum of human frailty, the seductive pull of the bedsheets, the sharp sting of a social slight, and the crushing weight of boredom. The difference is a total lack of internal consultation. Machiavelli argued that a leader must not be a victim of emotion, but a technician of it, noting that men are moved by love or fear. You must apply this cold diagnostic to your own psyche. Passion is a fickle flame easily extinguished by the first cold draft of reality. You do not need passion. You need the Roman concept of gravitas, a heavy, unshakable duty. Discipline is the art of acting in direct, violent opposition to your current emotional state. It is emotional alchemy, taking the leaden weight of "I don't want to" and transmuting it into the cold gold of "it is done." When you stop checking your feelings for permission to act, you become a predator in a world of prey. If an adversary knows you only perform when motivated, they need only wait for your inevitable dip into melancholy to dismantle you. But the man who trains harder when his heart is broken and focuses deeper when he is enraged is a man who has decoupled his output from his environment. You must treat your emotions like the weather. You acknowledge the storm, you see the rain, but you do not cancel the mission. You simply put on your armor and walk. This is the Machiavellian internal citadel. You are the prince and your emotions are the unruly rioting subjects. You may hear their grievances, but you never let them dictate the laws of the kingdom. If they revolt, you crush them with the 3-second rule. When the command is given, you have 3 seconds to move. By the 4th second, your brain, a survival mechanism designed for comfort, not greatness, will negotiate you back into safety. Bypass the negotiation. Move before the mind can speak. Over time, you rewire your neural pathways, shifting from a man who tries to be consistent to a machine that functions regardless of the climate. When your internal state no longer dictates your external reality, you are finally free. Isolation is the laboratory of the sovereign, a necessary crucible where the weak are filtered from the visionary. Machiavelli understood that to maintain power, a ruler must rely solely on what is within his own control, for to depend on the crowd is to build on sand. Look at your inner circle with the cold eyes of a census taker. If the 5 people closest to you are comfortable, they are not your allies, they are your anchors. Most men are terrified of a quiet room because in the silence the truth finally finds its voice, whispering the tally of their wasted potential. To achieve a terrifying level of discipline, you must develop a taste for solitude and the courage to sever ties with those who no longer serve the mission. This is not cruelty. It is the ruthless hygiene of the elite. As you ascend, those you leave behind will attempt to drag you back down, not out of malice, but because your evolution acts as a mirror to their own decay. When you harden your body, the sedentary friend feels judged. When you build an empire, the lazy colleague feels attacked. They will weaponize nostalgia, calling you cold or obsessed, to guilt you back into the herd. Accept the role of the villain in their narrative without apology. You're not seeking fun, that cheap anesthetic of the average. You are seeking mastery. Isolation allows you to liquidate your social debts and listen to your own internal frequency without the static of external opinion. Schedule your periods of total withdrawal, call it monk mode or deep work, and lock the door against the world. In that vacuum, you will confront your own demons, your boredom, and your deepest anxieties. When you defeat them in the dark, you emerge into the light with a confidence that cannot be mimicked. People sense this detachment. They realize you no longer need them, and ironically, that perceived scarcity makes them desperate to follow you. The man who is comfortable alone is the only man who is truly full. Predictability is the primary vulnerability of the weak. Machiavelli famously advised that it is far safer to be feared than loved, as love is a fragile bond of obligation, easily severed when interest shifts, whereas fear is anchored by a dread of consequence that never fails. In the realm of discipline, if you are inconsistent, you are manageable. People know exactly where you will fold, when you will complain, and which pressures will cause you to break. You are a puppet whose strings are your own visible cravings and comforts. When you weaponize discipline, you become a black swan, an unpredictable glitch in their social matrix. You cease to react. When insulted, you do not flare with anger. You pause, analyze the utility of the exchange, and return to your labor. In a crisis, you do not leak emotion, you provide structure. This refusal to offer a reflexive response is terrifying to those who rely on your volatility to control you. By removing the buttons they once pushed, you render them powerless. Your consistency becomes a slow, crushing force, much like a glacier, silent, implacable, and inevitable. This transformation requires you to perform a psychological execution on the part of you that craves sympathy. To seek pity is to expose your soft underbelly. It is to show the world exactly where you can be bled. A sovereign hides his wounds not out of shame, but to deny his adversaries the satisfaction of seeing him hurt. Stand with the poise of an emperor, even as your world burns. Do not let them see the sweat. This is not faking it. This is framing reality. You are signaling to the environment that you are the primary authority, and eventually the world will have no choice but to concede to your frame. Your failure is rooted in a fundamental error. You have turned your standards into a negotiation with your comfort. You have accepted a reality where trying is a valid substitute for winning, allowing a slow rot to settle into your foundation. Machiavelli observed that the great empires, Rome, Sparta, the Medicis, did not fall to external blades, but to the internal decay of luxury. Softness is a contagion that begins with the smallest compromise. We live in an era of unprecedented sedation, where every biological craving is met with an instant digital narcotic designed to keep your pulse steady and your mind dull. In such a world, being disciplined is not a self-help tip. It is a violent act of rebellion. You must set standards that appear pathological to the common man. When they ask why you rise in the dead of night or why you refuse the poisons they consume, the internal answer must be a cold, unspoken truth, because I am not you. This is the Imperial standard. By holding yourself to an absolute level of excellence, you inadvertently expose the mediocrity of everyone in your orbit. They will hate you for it, calling you obsessed or insane, because it is easier to pathologize your drive than to admit their own lethargy. A Machiavellian strategist does not lower his frequency to be understood by the herd. He forces the world to either rise to his height or be left in the dust of his ascent. You must become a miser with your time, treating it as a non-renewable currency, being looted by the trivial. Guard your accessibility like a fortress. When people realize your attention is rare, it becomes valuable. Discipline creates scarcity, and scarcity dictates market price. By becoming almost mechanical in your execution, you move beyond the bracket of competition. The air is thin at the peak because few have the lungs to survive there. The silence you find at the top is not loneliness, it is the sound of victory. This is the threshold of the cemetery. To become the entity that haunts the competition, you must first preside over the funeral of the person you used to be. You must execute the version of you that craves to be liked, the one that offers pathetic apologies for having the audacity to be ambitious. Machiavelli warned that there is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the strategic advantage of your enemies. You are currently in a state of civil war with your past self. If you do not kill him today, he will systematically dismantle your future. He will wait for the moment you are tired to whisper the virtues of a break, a drink, or a day off. You must be merciless. This is a shedding of skin, a raw, agonizing process that leaves you exposed but evolved. The tax for this greatness is paid in the loss of friends, partners, and the understanding of a mediocre family. Do not complain about the bill. Simply pay it. On the other side of this psychological death is a rebirth, a version of you that is leaner, faster, and driven by the cold calculations of logic rather than the tremors of emotion. You see the world not as a playground, but as a chessboard where every move has a consequence. This new self scares you, doesn't it? It should. Power is inherently frightening, and you are building a monument to power, not tyranny over others, but the absolute majesty of self-dominion. When you walk into a room with total internal control, you vibrate at a frequency that forces others to yield. They see a man who has looked into the abyss of his own failure and walked through to the other side. This is the ultimate victory. The Stoics and the strategists knew the man who conquers his own impulses is more powerful than the general who sacks a city. By committing to this, the background noise of anxiety finally vanishes. Anxiety is merely the sound of the lies you tell yourself about your own readiness. When you are disciplined, you have no secrets. You stop fearing the future because you are the one manufacturing it. You stop fearing others because they cannot match your endurance. You are finally free, but it is a cold, predatory freedom, the freedom of the wolf on the ridge looking down at the safe, warm sheep in the pen. You have chosen the hunt over the herd. The path is steep, the air is freezing, and you must walk it alone. But you are no longer a slave. The old you is a memory. Now go build the empire.